Down now, gets it back, jinks it past Honeyman, chips it up towards the far post.
Yes,
Naismith
yes,
there! And Latics get the perfect start of the DW in the fight for survival at the bottom of the championship.
Hello, welcome to the latest edition of the Full-Time Whittle Podcast, and today it's a good one. You've been asking for it for a very long time, but today I'm joined by Kal Naismith. Kal, how are you doing, mate?
Jay, I'm good, mate. I'm good. Happy to speak to you. How about you?
I'm great. I'm normally asked that question back. I usually panic when I get asked that. So first and foremost, Kal, how have you been settling at Luton Town over the last couple of weeks?
It's been brilliant, honestly. Obviously, everybody's been asking me that, my family and stuff, and it's been really, really good. There's a great bunch of lads. I've been so surprised with the club at how professional it is, how well run it is. The manager has been brilliant with me and just giving me time to settle in and adapt and obviously get my fitness levels up. But for the moment you kind of go into the training ground, they're really, really on it, on top of just trying to make you better and making sure you're doing all the right things. So I think it's going to be a great fit.
Nathan Jones is a great manager. He's been at Luton Town before. He had a brief spell at Stoke. How much do you think he can help your development?
Yeah, I think he can. I think he can help me a lot. He's very intense and he's all about. And I know a manager's job is to help players and help them develop, but he is so much on helping the lads. Every lad, he just wants to see them get better. He wants to see them grow every day. And he's intense. He's on you for the minute you start the warm-up. The warm-up needs to be spot on. The little passing drills before training, you need to do them with a tempo. They need to be spot on. But as I say, it's just that whole growth mindset. He's got it. Chris Cohen, who does a lot of coaching there, the assistant's he's been outstanding. He's spoke to me about everything I'd like to work on, and everything that I've mentioned to him every single day, he pulls me and says, "Kal, let's do this, let's do that," and puts on drills with me. So I've been doing so much with him, and I think both of them, with Harty and Mick as well, who are there as senior figures, they're all about helping the players and making them better. So as I say, I think it's a perfect fit for me.
What do you want to work on individually?
Individually, I've spoke to the manager, and I think he's looking towards it. He knows that I can play in a number of positions, and he likes me in a lot of positions. As I say, I literally enjoy playing anywhere. But he said that he does want me to focus from now on left back mainly. So there's a number of things I'd like to work on, but I think the main ones being 1v1 defending that I've been working a lot on, in just crosses into the box. I'd like to, obviously defensively, you want to keep a clean sheet. I feel in the air, my position and everything's good. That 1v1 defending I want to improve on, and crosses into the box, I feel like that's a strength in my game, but it's something I definitely want to keep getting better at, and playing different positions this year, like right wing or striker. Maybe I've not been out wide and then position running on it with my left crossing it. So just been doing a lot of repetition on that to get the feeling back and get to where I want to be with my crossing.
Absolutely. And at the moment, you're often described as a utility player because obviously you play some positions during your time at Wigan. Are you hoping you can kind of settle down into one position at Luton? Or are you happy to continue that flow?
Yeah, I'm definitely, and I'm not. It's like, people ask me that a lot, and it's crazy the way my career's gone, because if you asked me when I was younger, if someone described me as a utility player, I'd see that in a negative light and I wouldn't like it as much. I would be like, nah, well, utility players just get pushed around. They're not as good as the others and they fill in for people. And I don't see myself like that one bit. I've never seen myself as a squad player. At every club I've been at, I've been there to play. I want to start, and that is the main thing. I've never seen myself as, oh, if anyone gets injured, I'll fill in for him. Or if he gets injured, I've never ever seen myself like that. I've seen myself as a main player in a team, and I think it's important to keep that belief. And that's still a belief that I've got. But genuinely, when a manager sits down and asks me, that there's not a position that I don't enjoy playing. It's not like I could say to them, yeah, Gaffer, I really like centre back and I don't like the other positions, but if you need me there, I'll fill in. It's like, I really enjoy left back. I really enjoy playing the attacking positions, and I really, really enjoy playing centre half. So I think I'm happier now with the tag utility player. I don't see myself as a utility player that's just there to cover for others, but as I've got older, I understand how important the squad is. One, it's just all about getting results for the team, and you've just got to respect the manager's decision, whatever he does, wherever he puts me, wherever he needs me. If it's off the bench, I respect his decision. He's the manager, and if he keeps changing my position, then that's up to him, and I'll do my best for him.
I think it's very impressive that you're able to play so many different positions, because it gives you such an option to play anywhere across the field and always be in contention for a start. And I was really impressed with your versatility when you was at Wigan. And in your second match at Luton, you obviously travelled to Chelsea to play at Stamford Bridge in the FA Cup. What was that experience like for you?
Yeah, it was amazing. Obviously, it was early, my first week at the club, and to be fair, I didn't think I would be, because I'm a bit older now and that, but I was nervous. I was really nervous my first probably 2-3 weeks. I've just started the past few days to feel a bit more like myself, but obviously when you're getting into a changing room and it's full of new players, and the only time I really done that was Portsmouth. I signed for Portsmouth. It was completely new to me, new players. And I remember it took me so long to settle in because I was young. I was so nervous. And it took me a while to get going, and then I just thought, then when I signed for Wigan, I knew the manager, the assistant manager, I knew Gary Roberts, I knew a lot of players, so it was like, it helped me settle in a lot better. Whereas Luton, it was back to not knowing anyone, literally never knew anyone, so I was really nervous the first week or two, so it was a big game to go into. When I hadn't been training at my best, I was a bit nervous. Fitness-wise, I was probably off it. I was just hoping to get good minutes and get through the game. But all in all, it was an amazing experience. I thought the lads acquitted themselves well. Apart from maybe the first 2 goals, we could have maybe done a bit better. But in terms of how the lads done, and we've got a lot of good players here, I thought they handled the ball well against top players, and it was just a good experience to play at that stadium. It would have been good if there was fans, but all in all, it was a great experience for me.
You mentioned top players there. There's a lot of very good players at Chelsea, and there's one player at Chelsea you'll know very well, Reece James. What was it like to play against Reece and obviously catch up with him?
It was better to catch up with him than it was playing against him. Playing against him's no easy, and I knew that before the game. It was like, he's a ridiculous player, like scary good. And I remember at Wigan, just if anyone got the ball and Reece came to them, they just take a touch and pass it. No one wanted him to get near you because he's just too strong, too powerful. He'd just take the ball off you and make you feel like a kid. And so I knew going into the game, I was left wing back, he was right back. And in the back of my mind, it's probably not the way you should think, but I thought, if I get the ball and he gets close to me, I literally just need to give it to someone else, because I've not got a great chance of getting past this kid here. As you see, no one can really get past him in the Premier League. So there was one time when I took a touch and I had an opportunity to cross it, and I seen him pressing me, and instead of just putting it in the box, I actually tried to take him on. To be fair, I turned back out and went to go back the way, and he was all over me like a rash. I ended up trying a back heel to a player in the end and kicked out for a goal kick, and I thought, right, I'm not taking him on again. But no, he's a ridiculous player. But after the game, seen him outside the stadium, spoke to him for a while. We're obviously still in contact a lot now, speaking the phone and whatever. And just so proud of what he's doing in terms of young lad. We all knew he was amazing, but more the head he's got on his shoulders. I always knew he was very level-headed at Wigan. Whenever I used to speak to him, I knew he would play at the highest level, feasibility alone, but I thought he could be special because he's very level-headed, never gets too high, never gets too low, very professional. But to see the stuff that he's doing off the pitch with the charity work, and just how good and how kind he is and generous with his time and his platform, that's more impressive to me. I knew he was a good player, but to see him doing all that stuff, I'm proud of him for everything he's doing, yeah.
Was it a pleasure to watch his growth at Wigan from when he first arrived? Because initially he was signed to be backup for Nathan Byrne, and obviously after a few sessions it was never going to be the case. Yeah, no,
it was early doors. We seen he came in, and I don't know, you need to speak to him, but obviously he was probably nervous as well. I don't know, if he even gets nervous, that kid, but he came in, and straight away it was like, there was whispers a bit like, Jesus, he looked good, didn't he? Yeah, he looked good, he looked this. And then after seeing him in a few games, it was like, whoa. I think I said early, and I stand by it. I've said for the moment I seen him, I've played with loads of good players. I've never played at the highest level, like Premier League or whatever, but I've played with loads of good players that have played there and that. And just when I seen Reece James for the first month or two, I just said, he's different for anything I've seen. He's like elite. And that was him when he was 20. So yeah, obviously came as backup to Nathan Bunn originally, and Nathan's one of the best fullbacks you'll get in the Championship as well. But it just shows how good Reece was, and I think Nathan was understanding of that, just to say, right, we are dealing with a special talent here, and I'm probably going to have to play second best in that position, and that's just the way it ended up. But we were obviously fortunate enough to have two of them at the club, two of the best. Reece was the best right back in the Championship that year, and you've got Nathan Bunn as backup, who's arguably the best right back in the Championship now.
We had some really great players in that season. Reece James, Nathan Byrne, and obviously recently you've moved to Luton Town, and you're from Glasgow. You started your career at Glasgow Rangers, then you had spells at Accrington Stanley. You moved to Portsmouth, then to Wigan. So you've had to relocate to a lot of different places in your career. What's it like to relocate as a player? What's that process like? Because obviously I know you have a young family. I imagine it must be quite difficult, and it's something you don't necessarily see from a fan point of view.
This has been the most difficult one. It's always been difficult, but I always had in my head as a kid, even when I was at Rangers, I had in my head, I want to go to England. I want to play in England. That's where I want to play. And whether it be Championship or Premier League, that was always my dream, to go and kind of crack England, stay down there, have a career in England. That was just, I always thought if I was young, that's what I wanted to do. And so the sacrifices at the start, they were really tough. Obviously, I lived with my mum and my little brother, and moving away from them was like really hard to move down to Accrington at first. But it was like I was just ruthless. I was so ruthless and selfish that is what I want to achieve, and that is what I'm doing. That's the path that I'm taking. So it was a lot easier to make the sacrifices then. But this one's been the hardest one. We obviously, I've got two young boys, and to move away from them initially now until obviously they'll relocate and come down with me. But just the initial part, being away from them for 2 weeks or 3 weeks, it's hard being away from them for 2 days. But obviously, no seeing them for a week or so at a time is really, really tough. So the quicker I get them down here, the better. But yeah, a lot of sacrifices go into it. Obviously, I moved away. My little brother was probably 13, and like, I missed a lot of years where I would have liked to have been there for him growing up and stuff. And that's a lot of stuff you sit down and you think when you're having a tough time, and is it all worth it? But I think it is. That was just my dream, was always to come down and play in England, and I'm grateful to get to do the job that I do. So it's just a sacrifice that I had to make.
Are you quite a big family person?
Yeah, really big. Obviously, my family's really big, but in terms of being like tight knit and close, I've probably got like about 4 or 5 family members that are just really, really tight knit, really close. Obviously, my mum and my little brother are like the two people that I'm closest to, and to move away from them was hard. Obviously, we've got used to it now, and my little brother's a lot older, so I can speak to him about it and chat to him about it. And my mum obviously comes down a lot on visits to see my children and my children. Sorry, but at the time when I was younger, it was tough. And if you would have a few bad games, or I was at Accrington and my career didn't look like it was going the places where I had kind of thought it would or dreamed of, then it's a bit hard. Whoa, are you wasting all this time away from your family for nothing, really? So you definitely do have those thoughts.
Obviously, recently, you just had a little lad, and before the podcast started, you told me a funny story of when your son was born, in a lead up to the removal of your hair, because I know a lot of fans picked up on after lockdown you came back as a Scottish Sedan from Caledini as your previous nickname. So can you tell that story?
Yeah, so basically you would ask me what happened to my hair. You say it's obviously good hair, but yeah, when the wind caught these parts, it was it never looked great. But my hair was okay, but it was just getting long, and obviously lockdown, and I couldn't cut it. And it was basically my missus had went into the hospital for the birth of my son. I wasn't allowed in there, so they says go back. When our water breaks, we'll call you up. And so I went back. I'm lying in bed, and then I get a phone call to go up at like 2 a.m. So I get in there. My son's born. It's 2 a.m. I've not had a haircut for months, whatever. My balance miles off it, and so my son arrives, and I'm holding him, and I got a few pictures. My missus took a few pictures of me with me and my son, and obviously being a special moment. I've looked back at the photos, and I've looked at the photos, and I'm like, Jesus Christ, my barnet was looking shocking. It was 2 a.m. It was all over the place. It was too long, and I said to my missus the next morning, I says, listen, I need to get rid of this. I need to shave it off. So Joe Gardner, he stays 5-10 minutes for me. I message him saying, nah, that's it, Garns, I'm shaving it off. He says, come round and I'll shave it. So went round, sat in a chair in his front garden, and he banged it off, and that was it, gone.
That's a great story, and I can actually just picture it now. You sat in the garden with Joe Garner, going a little bit happy with the Razors. I'm sure he enjoyed every second of that. He was quite a big character.
Yeah, he's a great guy, one of the best. Such a big character, but one of the best guys you'll meet in terms of having in a changing room and keeping all the lads together, and just a genuine nice guy. I was fortunate enough to get really close with him when we were there. We're still close now, and but that was that. He took my hair off, and that's it. I don't think it's coming back.
It's a great story, and obviously during your time at Wigan, you signed for Wigan Athletic back in May 2018 from Portsmouth. How did you reflect on your time at Wigan Athletic?
Time at Wigan was it was amazing. I don't do enough reflecting, to be honest, and looking back. So now that you've asked me that question, just when I think of Wigan, I just get good thoughts, positive, all good. If I go into it and delve into obviously the 2 and a bit years I was there, it was probably started shaky, started a bit off, was always an amazing changing room, was always an amazing place to go in and train. I really enjoyed it, but in terms of personal achievement in my game, I would have liked to have played more, I would have liked to have played better, I would have liked all that stuff, but I just look back on it with overall positivity. I met some amazing people, amazing players, amazing people off the pitch, and I just look at it positively, really. In the end, what happened, I don't like to dwell on too much and think what could have been, because what happened. So then my initial reaction is just, right, well, what can I do now moving forward that's the best for me and my family and my career? And then that all my focus went into that, rather than thinking what's happened there or reading too much into it. That was just my initial reaction. But when I think about Wigan, it was incredible. I learned so much. I grew as a person, a player, learned to play in a lot of different positions, and I had never played in the Championship, so to get that opportunity at Wigan and play in the Championship, it was just something incredibly grateful for. And to play in the team that I played in, I think it'll be difficult to play in a better team than I played in the one last year, in terms of the changing room being the togetherness and how good some of the players were. And just from January to the end of the season, we were just like a well-oiled machine. We were literally getting into every game just thinking, I don't see how we can get beat today. And whether that's arrogance or no, I think we just all had that confidence that the players that we had in our team some of them were incredible, and we just knew that we were so well set up and that we were going to win games, and the confidence we had was incredible. But no, my time in Wigan was only positive.
I think the confidence really shined through at the end, because that final run in the final 15 games, I believe that you won 12 of those games, 10 clean sheets. I think the only loss was against Brentford, who will beat anyone on their good day. They're a Premier League side, in my opinion. Yeah. They're probably going to go up this season. Even Tony's fired them to the Premier League. And we're going to, if you don't mind, we'll run through your time at Wigan, because I think your story has touched a lot of people, because the rise of yourself for the road of redemption almost, because it was almost like a zero to hero kind of story. And to first start things off, what initially attracted you to join the club from Portsmouth?
Championship football, Paul Cook being there, Liam Richardson. That was my biggest thing. I've always wanted to play at the highest level possible, and I'd done really well at Portsmouth, and the next step for me was, I was in League One at the time, and the next step for me was to try and break into the Championship. And the manager obviously phoned me, says that he's very interested in trying to get me to the club, and straight away I was like, just so grateful, and fingers crossed it can happen. And obviously we all know it's a big club, but for me it was just a good club in the Championship where I want to be, and playing under management where I know they trust me and I trust them, and that was just a big draw for me to come to the club.
What was your relationship like with Paul Cook at Portsmouth and Wigan Athletic?
Yeah, it was different. It was different. It was strange. It was ups and downs, but I think with the gaffer, it's really hard to get his trust. And even where you'll see it, he'll sign a lot of good players, but he won't just sign them. He won't just play them. Because they're good players. And everybody he signs, they go through a kind of test. He tests them, he prods and pokes at them, and he likes to see if they can come through that, if they're mentally tough. And I think you do need to be mentally tough. You need to be thick-skinned to play for him. But he makes you better. He makes you a better person. He makes you better deal with it. And he certainly makes you a better player. And it probably took me a bit longer to get there in the end. But I think in the end, I don't know, he never said, but I think in the end, he trusted me as a player. I trusted him. So it definitely ended a good relationship, but there was a lot of tests at the start, and it was never bad, but there was just a lot of prodding and poking and testing me, and I did have to be mentally strong at the initial start. He never really played me at Portsmouth at the start, and then I played and I done really, really well for him. And he's, like I say, he's one of them where he's an unbelievable manager. He's a great manager, but he is one of them where he'll prod and he'll poke you, and he'll make sure that you pass the test. But when you do pass the test, it's so rewarding because he puts his full trust in you. If you ever had a bad game, which we've all had, or ever you're going through a tough time or whatever, he'll back you 1,000,000%. So he's an unbelievable manager. Once you get through the test and pass, then it is perfect. It probably took me about a year and a half, maybe even two and a half years to get through and pass. But I think when I did, I think if you ask him now, probably he knows he can trust me. I know I can trust him, and I'm grateful for him being my manager. Really taught me so much.
What sort of test would he put you through? I know at Portsmouth initially you was frozen out and trained with the youth team for a couple of months, and then you broke through and you made the number 10 position your own, and obviously helped them win League Two in that special season at Fratton Park.
Just little things like that, really, where you say little things. But yeah, it would be hard on me. It would be really hard on me at the start. I think you seen this young kid that maybe thought he was a good player and thought it was going to be easy for him, and came down to Portsmouth and play. And I think he looked at me, and I think he always, you would need to ask him, do you know what I mean? I'm not sure, but I think he always thought I was a good player, and he always seen ability there. But I think he definitely wanted me to learn the other side. He wanted to know that he could rely on me. He wanted to know that I could have that consistency, and I wouldn't just turn up when I wanted and drift through games. And so little things like not playing me for a while, he would leave me out of squads. He would make it really difficult for me to get a game. And even if I was doing well, he would never like to see me too high. He would never tell me I was doing too good. Just a lot of stuff that would make you sit back and think, Jesus, like, this is quite tough. And then obviously I went on the transfer list there, and I don't know his plan for that, if it was to ever let me leave or if it was just purely for a test to see how I reacted to that, to see if I threw my toys at the pram, or to see if I said, right, well, I'm going to knuckle down and work even harder here, which obviously I'd done in the end. And I'm sure that's what he appreciated, and maybe that was a test all along. So just a lot of little tests that toughen you up. And yeah, but as I say, once you come through all them, then he'll put his faith in you, he'll put his trust in you, he'll back you no matter what you do. He's unbelievable for your man management, and he's an unbelievable manager. So no, he was great for me, but tough at the start.
Having worked with him at Portsmouth at Wigan, are you surprised that Paul's not back in management yet?
Yeah, very, very. Obviously, I've had the benefits to work with him for 5-6 years, so I know what he brings. But to see him out of the game is it's crazy, especially with the job opportunities that have come up. It's like, I look at them and think, he's an unbelievable manager. So wherever he goes, if he goes into a place that's flying and doing well, he's going to pick it up and do even better, in my opinion. He's great for the lads. He's, like I say, tactically, and he's so on it, and he's about getting everybody better and making you a better player and making you stronger and more resilient. But for the players, well, obviously they've got rid of, for the team, they've got rid of their managers. It's like, we had tough spells at Portsmouth, and one thing he always done was he could galvanise a team. He could always do it with the boys. He would always keep us together. He would stay on top of us, and we always turned it around. We turned it around at Portsmouth, and then you look at Wigan. Everybody was saying we were done. We were gone by January, and never once did he lose the changing room, or there was no question of that. He trusted in us. He kept faith. He just work a bit harder, keep working harder, and then you look at how well we done, and they say you're only as good as like your last 6 months a year in football. Well, his last 6 months was unbelievable. We were one of the best formed teams in the league, and that was just through repetition of the gaffer, working with us on the training pitch and believing in us and keeping faith in us. You look at the team that started the league and done so badly. He never froze out any of the players. He continually kept belief in them. If you look at the team that finished the league, the season, the majority of the players would have been the same as the ones that were struggling at the beginning, and he's so good at turning everyone around. That's why the likes of the job opportunities that have come up, it's surprised me. I don't know the ins and outs yet, and maybe he did go off them, maybe he's turned them down, maybe he's waiting for an opportunity that fits better for him. But for me, it's so surprising to see him still out the game, because how good a manager he is. But again, he will be back in the game soon. For me, he's still one of the. He's young for being a manager, and he's probably definitely in the top kind of best young English managers out there. I know there's a lot of good ones, but I'd certainly put him in there with him.
I think it's only a matter of time, personally. And when you first arrived at Wigan Athletic, you was playing out of position at left back, and it seemed like you needed a little bit more time to adapt to the role. How do you feel at the time to be playing left back, as it's hard enough stepping up a level to the Championship as it is at a new club, yet alone in a new and unfamiliar position?
Yeah, it was difficult. I was just grateful just to be getting on the pitch and playing and test myself. So it was amazing, and I was up for every game. But look, I knew I wasn't naive enough to just think I could come in and play a position and be unbelievable. And I knew I would needed time. I knew there was a lot that I would have to work on, but I was just so grateful to be given the opportunity to be playing. So I was relishing every game and looking forward to it.
It was great to see you develop as a player and as more of a versatile footballer at your time at your club. And at the start of your time at Wigan, a few of the Latics supporters on social media admitted they was unconvinced that you could make it in the Championship after you had quite a quietly consistent year in League One in the season before. In matches, did you ever feel sections of the crowd were on your back? And if so, how does that affect you as a player?
There was one game in particular where I felt it, and I knew I wasn't settling in great at the start. I was playing at a position, and I think to go on my previous year, it would definitely have been unfair to judge me, because I was in the last year of my contract. I was running down my contract to come to Wigan. So there's always that worry where, what if you get injured, what if you get... So I knew I wasn't playing my best football in League One at Portsmouth, but I knew I was capable of so much more. So maybe they did judge me for that. And at the beginning, I knew they weren't quite taking to me just from seeing little things on social media, but that never ever worried me or bothered me. I never took it in. To be honest, I just knew that I had to perform better. And I've always kind of, in a weird way, loved when people doubt me or people don't think I can do it. Instead of like shouting or throwing my toys at the pram, I've always relished in that. Makes me work harder, makes me want to do better, and not prove to them that they're wrong, but just prove to myself that when times get tough, that I'll always stick in, I'll always keep going. And I think that's the way I've always been. So probably the one game in particular was the game where I came on and had a nightmare, to be fair, and they were obviously booing, but that's kind of the only one where I remember that it stuck in my head. All the other times where probably justified. Just fans on Twitter saying they never thought he was a good player or whatever like that, which happens at every single club. And I knew I wasn't performing well, and the chances that I got in the first year, so I was always fine with that.
There's been quite a big debate on social media at the moment with footballers getting targeted for abuse online. What do you think about this? Because obviously it must be tough as a player to receive criticism. I know in your case it sometimes spurs you on, but it's never nice to get targeted online by people for no justified reason.
Yeah, it's no good. It's not good at all. As sad as it is, it's kind of like, it's just a part of football now. The footballers are not told, but we just kind of know we need to be thick-skinned and deal with it. I think giving your opinion on a player and saying he's a bad player or he's rubbish or he was rubbish at the weekend, or I think, listen, you play football, you're out there in the public. It's not nice. I don't think other people that do other jobs get that, but we're living out our dream, and if that's what it is what it is. But in terms of like the racial abuse and things like that, that just can't be right. There's something that needs to be done. Listen, I don't know what. I'm not a professional in that matter, but it's just, I don't know. It just goes back to, why can you just be a nice person? Who would sit there and think to type any of this stuff out and send it? I've met some people that are not nice people in life, but I've never thought they would ever sit down and do any of that. And I just don't know these people actually exist that can racially abuse footballers or anyone for that matter. So it's strange to me why people would do that, but certainly something needs to be done. Stop it. I don't know what, but something, definitely needs to be done.
I think it's such a shame, in my opinion, because football, there's a lot of really great moments in the sport where social media is used for good reasons, like raising money for charities, helping young children achieve their dreams in terms of like the Make-A-Wish Foundation and things like that. But it's really the nasty side of the game. And to link back to myself now and your time at Wigan, in your first full season at Wigan, alongside Reece James, it was quite an indifferent campaign in the Championship. Wigan was in remarkable form at home at DW Stadium, but really struggled to win away from home. And this lasted for a year or so, probably about 18 months. With hindsight now, have you found a possible explanation as to why the home form was very contrasting to the away form?
Honestly, never. We spoke about it that year. We just couldn't understand. It was just, at the DW, we just felt so comfortable. We were literally a different team. It was two different teams, and you would go into away games, and it's so hard. Like, as a footballer, you can be a great team. You can just be going through the worst run of form ever. No one knows why. You think, well, why is this? Why is it happening? And that was just kind of one of the moments where, at home, we would fancy ourselves to beat anyone. Leeds, top teams would come. Like, we would fancy ourselves to literally beat anyone at home, and then we went away from home, and it just a different feel to the game, different feel to us. We weren't as confident on the ball, as comfortable, and that wasn't just one or two players. That was literally every player. But the preparation was the same. The preparation was always great. The manager was setting us up great. We knew everything about the opposition and what they would bring. It was just the performances. We just, like they say, winning's a habit, and I think losing can be as well when you get into that rut and you can't particularly put your finger on it. But we just weren't getting results away from home.
When you go to an away stadium, what's it like to obviously enter enemy territory, hearing the home fans' chants? And I know it'd be a lot different now with the coronavirus pandemic, with no fans really allowed to attend. But what's the feeling like to go and play at an away team's ground and the whole match day experience?
It's to be honest, it's not much different. Honestly, it's just a game of football, and you look forward to it. And apart from going to the really big ones like Leeds away, where maybe the week of it you'll be thinking about it a lot because the stadium's got a lot of history and they're a big club and it's a really big stadium and different. But I think just your average kind of away game, it's just like another game where you're looking forward to, and you're looking forward to the match and try to get a result. You never really think too much about the opposition fans or playing away from home the day it'll be tough. It's never really like that. For me, it's just you're really looking forward to the game, and yeah, obviously we lost a lot, which was, we ended up hating going away from home, and preferring it at home. But I think you always prefer to play at home, but the away games are as enjoyable.
Absolutely. And after Will Grigg's 3-0 brace in the win over Stoke at the start of that season, that August, Latics' next win on the road came at the automatic promotion chase in Leeds United over Easter. Wigan were immediately up against it. Cedric Kipre got sent off quite harshly for a handball, and then Patrick Bamford opened the scoring quite shortly after. And with yourself at centre-back, Latics turned the match on its head. Gavin Massey scored twice and spoiled the promotion party at Ellen Road. For me, this is one of the best matches you had for Wigan Athletic. What do you remember from this classic match, and obviously playing centre-back in this really big game for both sides?
No, it was an unbelievable game. I struggle to remember, but I don't know if I was playing a lot in the build-up to that. And then I was put in, I think I started the game. Did I start the game at left midfield? I think I started the game left midfield. And then we went down to, I remember it being so tough at the beginning. Then we went down to 10 men and conceded. I was thinking, Jesus, this could be a long, long day. I don't need this. I've not been playing a lot. My fitness obviously isn't great. I was thinking, wow, this is going to be tough. And then I remember obviously thinking the manager's going to need to change it tactically here. And I could get dragged off because I hadn't been playing. That was my first game playing in a while, or maybe my second, I can't remember clearly, but I thought, I think I might get took off here. I remember that was my initial thoughts. So then to get moved back to centre half, I was just happy. Oh, right, I'm still on the pitch. I'm happy. It's still, it's going to be tough, but I'm happy. I'm still on the pitch, kind of thing. And then obviously, just really enjoyed it. It was just backs to the wall, all action, defending. Was waves of attack for them, but it was like you needed to be so focused and so on it just to keep the clean sheet. And I think as the game went longer and longer, we were just getting confident. And that day, honestly, I think, was it me, Cedric and Shea were like three centre halves. I think that day it just felt like we could have played for as long as you wanted and you just wouldn't have scored a goal. And hence by the end of the game, we just felt like we were dealing with everything, where it was big Cedric winning headers or Shea, or it just felt like we were always in the right positions. And then for there, it was just a Gav Massey show, really. It was unbelievable. He got us up the pitch when we had to get up the pitch, and obviously his two goals were unreal.
It was Gavin Massey's best performance in a Wigan shirt, in my opinion. And following that match against Leeds United, did you get the confidence for the rest of the season? Because we put a bit of a run together, which saw us consolidating the championship for that campaign. Yeah,
I think that was huge for us. I think we never ever mentioned it in the changing room or around the place, but it was starting to get a little bit negative, thinking we could be in trouble here. Like we were doing well, but then we were struggling to pick up results, and it was like nitty gritty. We were down near the bottom, I think, at the time, and just to get that result, it was like, well, if we can go and beat Leeds at Ellen Road, we're comfortable, we're good here, we can literally beat anyone. And it was just such a big turning point. We were bouncing after the game, the changing room was bouncing. It just felt like such a big moment. You have them little moments in seasons, and that was such a big moment for us to feel like, we need to believe in ourselves a bit more. We're a top side, and we can give anyone a game.
It was a great way
to turn this light on you.
I was just about to ask you, actually. You read my mind. I was going to say, do you want to turn the light on? It's gone dark.
It was bright outside a second ago, and then I just see it get darker and darker.
No worries. But following this match against Leeds United in the next season, 2019-20, you was moved again to play at centre-back. And when you moved to centre-back, naturally being a forward, it seems as though you was maybe thrown into the deep end, learning the position on the job. How daunting was that initially, and how easy did it come to you?
Honestly, I loved it. It was probably my best spell at Wigan in terms of enjoying just the position. I just loved the position. I just fitted into it straight away. There was a game where I can't remember clearly, but it was like, it was, Jesus, we just spoke about it. It was Leeds at Ellen Road where I played there. And then I just felt so good there, so comfortable. I could see the full game. My whole mindset changed to wanting to score goals to like the buzz. I keep my clean sheet. Obviously, we never kept a clean sheet that day, but from when I went back to centre half, we kept a clean sheet, and just the buzz I keep my clean sheet was probably not as good as scoring, but almost as good. And I remember saying Anthony Barry I spoke to at the beginning of the next season, and I remember saying to him that if there was ever talks out maybe me playing centre half, I would be really open to it. I really enjoyed it. I think it's a position that I could be good. And he said, right, okay, Cal, I'll take it to the manager and whatever. And I don't know if that had anything to do with it, but we obviously had a lot of injuries at the time, and it was between, I think, me and Lee Evans to see who played centre half for whatever game. I don't know what it was. We were down to the bare bones and played left centre half, and straight away it just felt like it clicked, and I really, really enjoyed the position. Well, that first game was at the DW. I remember it. I played really, really well. I don't know who it was against, but last 20 minutes of the game, I've came out with the ball and someone's pressed me really fast. And my initial reaction, I've tried to put it through his legs and gave it away. And I remember I just knew, I said, no, I've ruined it. I've done so well to play well. I've tried the nutmeg. The gaffer's going to hammer me. And to be fair, I think we had a laugh about it that next week. He says, you got to go and do something stupid and you ruin it. He just says, listen, don't try that again in that position. And that was it. Just changing my little reactions when you're in trouble to maybe try a Cruyff turn or try something that I would usually try in an attack position was then, right, no nonsense. If you're in trouble, get rid of it. And that was just all the wee things I changed my mindset. But all that happened pretty quickly, and I loved playing there.
Was this something that came really naturally to you, or was there lots of extra work on the training ground as well?
There was lots of stuff. Look, it came really naturally in terms of Paul Cook's side wants to play out for the back, wants to be expansive, wants to people that can handle the ball. And for me, that position was just so easy in terms of I was just receiving the ball. I could see everything. And if I was getting pressed, it was from one striker or mostly one striker. I could always give it to my fullback. Obviously, it helped me no end having Jedi to the left of me, who's obviously a ridiculous player. And I knew if I was ever in trouble, I could just give it to him, and it made my game so easy. But on the ball, it just felt not easy but it did feel a lot more comfortable than playing in an attacking position where you're getting in tight areas. So that part was easy. It was just positional about holding a high line and when to drop and when to tuck round, and we worked on that mainly with Anthony Barry at training, and he worked on a lot with me just getting my body position when they hook it in behind, getting my body position in the right places, and I picked it up quickly and I loved it.
I think you're really impressed, and what do you think of your emerging nickname Caldini?
Caldini, yeah, it was funny. Obviously, it was nice. I didn't think much of it. Obviously, Maldini's ridiculous, but it was a fun one for the fans. My missus used to see it and have a laugh at it, and I just think she was happy that kind of the feedback was positive. And as I say, if I'm getting praised, I'll never try and look too much in it, and if I'm getting hammered, I'll never try and look too much in it. But it was nice. It was just funny for the fans to, obviously that's positive nickname. So
I think it was a great humorous nickname, and you mentioned there you don't really take it to heart that much when you get a bit of praise but also get a bit of negative feedback, and we spoke about it earlier in the podcast how some of the fans necessarily didn't take it to you at the start for whatever reason that may be. Would you agree with that? At times you was maybe portrayed as a bit of a scapegoat when results weren't going as well as they'd like for the fans?
I was. I knew I was, and it was obviously a difficult time for the fans. It was difficult in that season. What kept happening was, for whatever reason, we kept being ahead in games. We were always ahead in games, and then the last half an hour we changed to a different team. We always used to sit there deep, defend, and we would always concede late. We would always be winning by one goal, and then next minute's one each, or teams would win 2-1, and when we conceded a goal, it was always like, oh no, they're going to score again here, and it was just we just couldn't get out of the rut. We could never see games out, and I was always the manager's second or third sub. I was always coming on. I wasn't playing, so the team would play, and then when it was backs to the wall and we were really, really struggling, the manager would put me on. So then I would be coming into a game where the other team are kind of on top. We're struggling. We're conceding a lot of late goals. And then we would concede a late goal and it would be oh, Naismith's fault. The manager made the wrong change. And that happened a lot. To be fair, it wasn't just me. It would be like the manager would bring Jacobs on, and it would be like, oh, Jacobs is on, wrong sub. Should have been Joffrey. It was always Joffrey should have come on, or someone else came on, or wrong sub, or he's terrible because he came on and we lost. When in reality, we were coming on for 10 minutes, not being involved in play at all, and we were conceding a goal, but then it was whoever came off the bench's fault. And that would just, for a while, it was like, I felt every time I came on, we conceded. Like, and it was a bit like, Jesus Christ, I'm coming on and we keep either losing or winning lead here. And most of the time it wasn't my fault. There was one game where it definitely was my fault that we obviously spoke about, but most of the time it wouldn't be. But it was like, yeah, it's Naismith's fault, he's came on again. But that was, as I say, I was okay with it, and I understood that that's just the way it is.
Yeah, I don't want to open any old wounds. That's not my intention. But when you came against Reading, it was against Reading in November 2019. Yeah. Your substitution was met with quite a loud chorus of boos. Can you talk about how you felt when you heard that? Because for me, I was quite disappointed, to say the least, with that kind of reaction.
Yeah, it was strange. I knew obviously what I've just said there. I was coming on a lot, and it wouldn't be my fault, but we concede, or anyone would come on, we concede. We just had a habit of conceding late, and we were losing late leads. It's just what was happening. And obviously the managers put me on. I've not thought about the fans once or how they would react, and came on, and then to hear the boos and whatever was just a bit like that was, yeah, I didn't expect that. That's a bit uncalled for, but I've got a job to do kind of thing. And the thing I was gutted with most was never the fans booing me. It was never ever that, but it was how I reacted to that. How I basically folded. I crumbled. I made a bad mistake for the goal where I gave it away in the centre of the pitch, which, fair enough, the boy runs for the halfway line, pass it through, bang, scores a good goal. That isn't completely bad, but I should have done better. I should have had the ball in, at least won a foul if I had no options. The second goal, I then have made a mistake. Fine, I should be mentally tough enough to deal with that. I should be mentally tough enough to deal with the boos. The boos got even louder every time I got the ball. I was getting booed. But then it go into the centre of the park, and I had my head was that gone. I had no concept of what space I was in, nothing, and I made a terrible mistake to give the ball away where they scored again. And that was a disappointing thing. It was never the fans booing me. It was how I reacted to it, how I wasn't strong. I always seen myself as such a strong person, and you could literally do or say what you wanted to me. And that was more disappointing. I remember Charlie Mulgrew phoning me the day after and saying, listen, keep your head up, how do you feel, and whatever. It was just there for me, to be fair. And I says, Charlie, I'm completely fine. Like, I'm completely fine. I'm just disappointed in myself that I never dealt with that situation better, and that's still how I feel about it. If it ever happened again, I hope it never ever does, but if it ever happened again, I know I would be strong enough to deal with it. And in that moment, I wasn't. For whatever reason, I let it get the better of me. And as I say, that's what I was most disappointed about.
In reality, it was a small but vocal minority who was frustrated at lashing out at you. But did it almost feel like everyone's against you when it happened?
And I knew everyone wasn't a big fan of me. I wasn't performing well and I wasn't doing it. And as I say, that's fine. If you want to, after the game, have a chat between your mates and say Naismith's terrible, that's fine. That's a part of football. I was a football fan my full life as well, watched Rangers and would watch games on the TV, and I'd say he's rubbish, and that is it. It's a part of football. But for what felt like it wasn't just one or two people, for everybody to like physically boo another human being every time they get the ball and like try and ridicule someone like that, just me as a person and believe how you should be. And I know that was obviously a lot of adults in that as well. Like, just for me, it didn't sit well, because why would you want to do that to somebody? Why would you want to make someone feel bad? And I'm actually glad it happened to me and not anyone else, because with me, I can deal with it. I know I can deal with that. I've dealt with it a lot, and I know I'm fine to deal with that, and I can come through that. But just if it happened to somebody else, one of my mates or one of the younger lads or I would be gutted for them, because I know everybody would react and come back kind of stronger for that, and it would affect just to be ridiculed like that grown men or kids to literally boo you every time you get a ball. It definitely wasn't nice, but at the same time, I understood I wasn't playing well, and it was what it was. I had forgot about it 2 or 3 days later. It was like, right, it's done. I understand it. The fans are frustrated, and would I have done it? Would I ever boo a human being when they're playing football? No, I never would. But if that's what other people want to do, then that's how they are.
While this was understandably really tough for you, and I really appreciate your honesty as well, it seemed like this was a turning point and you came back stronger and you kept on getting better. I remember a game in the following December against Notts Forest away, and you had an absolute stormer against them, who were challenging for promotion at the time. And a lot of the players in your situation would have crumbled more longer term and ended up departing. But you showed great mental strength and resilience to come back from this. What did you do to obviously keep mentally strong during this period and obviously improve your game so much as well behind the scenes?
Yeah, just kept working, just worked harder. As I say, I was never disappointed with the fans. I was disappointed for myself for not dealing with it better. So straight away, it was like, as I say, I've always enjoyed, for some strange reason, when people doubt me or things don't go right for me, because I feel that's when I really, really look at it and say, right, let's go then, let's pick yourself up. I've never been one, and this is outside of football as well, in any walk of life, to just lie there and feel sorry for myself. I don't think that's how you improve at anything. And so my initial reaction was just, right, head down. It's a difficult spell, but work harder, work even harder. You know you're a good player. You can never lose a belief in yourself. You've just got to keep working, and it will come out. It will come out and show. If it comes out and shows at Wigan, it comes out and shows. But if it doesn't, you move on and it will come out and show somewhere else. And that was just my mentality, that just to keep working harder, to keep improving day by day, week by week. And yeah, I just went away, and I don't think I was doing anything different. I was just working as hard as I normally was. But yeah, I remember that Forest game where in football it changes so quick. You literally need one good pass or 2 or 3 good touches, or you can go for looking like a terrible player to getting your confidence back and being on top of the world. And I remember that Forest game was definitely a good game for me. I played centre half and played really well, and I just felt like, right, there you go. You knew you were a good player, you know you can do it, and my confidence started coming back then. And I think from then on, I kind of just got better.
I can only sympathise, because obviously it must be so tough to have every touch of the ball scrutinised, whether it's a good pass, a bad pass, a failed dribble attempt. Every little motion you make is pinpointed, and it's always been the case in football. And I really applaud your mental strength for this, because you know it shows great character. And throughout your career, it seems a common theme that bouncing back from adversity is something that you kind of do best. What is it in your personality in terms of, is it a case of proving people wrong, or is it a case of just trying to kind of make the best of a bad situation as well?
Yeah, I don't know, to be honest. I honestly don't know, but it's definitely something I embrace. It's not that I like stuff to go wrong, but when everything's going good, it's almost like a bit easy, and I feel a bit like everything's too smooth and easy. It's like, look, I never want bad things to happen to me in life, but anything bad that has happened, I've always came back stronger, and I pride myself in that. And that's how I bring my kids up to be, that 100% we'll all go through tough times, but when it does get tough, then I think that's where you see a person, what a person's made of, how a person is. Do they kind of sit back and get down about it and sulk and go backwards and not grow as a human being, or grow as a person, or grow in their profession, whatever they do, which mine is football? I think that would be for me the easy way to go. I know there's a lot about mental health, and that's a serious thing, and that is tough out there for a lot of people. But just for me, my reaction has always been right, well, if I'm having a really, really tough time, what am I doing? What am I doing to help myself? Am I waking up early? Am I working harder? Am I making sure I'm getting good sleep? Am I eating better food? I always look at myself, and whenever times have got really, really tough, I've kind of always regrouped and came back. So I've always embraced struggle for some reason.
It's a great mindset to have, to kind of always show that resilience and to bounce back from any sorts of adversity. And the club in that season, the 2019 to 20 season, to revive the form and that turn of form from 2020 onwards was absolutely unbelievable. Can you talk about the run-up and the run-in the second part of the season in 2020? And again, for me in particular, for you, which will stand out in your memory, will be the game against Stoke City, where you scored twice. The second, an absolutely wonderful goal, a rocket into the bottom corner from outside the penalty area. So can you talk back about that run and obviously that feeling you had when you scored that great goal?
Yeah, it was obviously incredible. We touched on it before, we literally felt invincible. It wasn't something that we spoke about, but you just know as players, you know in the changing room, and you know when you go out there on the Saturday, you know when you're warming up that it's going to take a lot to beat us today, and I'd be very surprised if we don't win. And that was coming up against, we all know how tough a league the Championship is, and you never disrespect any team in this league. Everyone beats everyone, but it was just a feeling we had. It was just, it would be tough to beat us today. And I don't know when the run of form started, but I remember when we were in it just thinking, wow. When I was playing centre half. I remember just thinking, there's no one getting by Jedi. I know there's no one getting by Jedi. I know there's no one getting by Big Cedric. I know there's no one getting by Nathan Byrne. We've got David Marsh in goals. If I can just play centre half and do my job to the best of my abilities, there's almost no way we can see that. I don't see it. I don't see who's getting by Nathan, who's getting by Jedi. If I'm ever in trouble, I can give the ball to Sammy Morsey, he's going to dictate the game. With Joe Williams, unbelievable player, just all over the pitch. I just remember thinking, I just used to enjoy Saturdays thinking we are a good side. Kiefer Moore, big man, the last 6 months, just knew that if you were in trouble, get up to him. He was too big and strong for some of the best centre halves in the league. He was unbelievable, and yeah, just to be playing with the players, I remember just enjoying the games, thinking it's not going to be easy, but I just fancy us to win every game. And yeah, I played centre half for a while, and then I maybe played left midfield or different positions, and I've always enjoyed it more playing on the right. And I remember I played right midfield, a couple, but then the manager never played me for a few, and I was maybe disappointed because at this time I'm at the top of how I feel confidence-wise and what I can bring to the team, and I just felt great, and I just wanted to be out on the pitch every single game. And then obviously the Stoke game, I got the chance, and I was playing on the right. I was playing against Stoke, and that, when I was that confident, left back and left centre half, they're key positions, but I feel they're a lot easier than playing in an attacking position, especially in the Championship. It's 100 mile an hour. You don't get a lot of time in the ball. Defenders are really good. You've got to try and create something quickly. And at the beginning, when I was a wee bit lower on confidence, I never felt like I could really do well in an attacking position. But near the end of that season, I just wanted to play. I backed myself that I was going to be really good in any position. And then when I got my opportunity in the right, the 2 goals, to get the 2 goals was great, obviously. And yeah, it was just, I just felt then the full team was at the peak of its confidence, and I certainly was at the peak of my confidence. Just couldn't wait for the next game, couldn't wait for what was to come in the Championship, couldn't wait to try and have my peak years as try and establish myself as an attacking player in an unbelievable side, which was Wigan at that time. So that was just, yeah, my feelings.
It was a really special team, and you can definitely see how much he was enjoying playing with each other, as much as the fans were enjoying to watch as well. And a day after the Stoke match, Wigan seemed all but safe in the Championship. The side was on such a good run of form, and sadly on the July 1st, Wigan Athletic had entered administration. Can you recall the moment when you found this information out?
Yeah, it was, as you say, the Stoke. We went home that night, felt great, woke up the next morning, and I was just sitting in the living room with my missus, the kids, and Andrew Proctor. Do you know Andrew Proctor, the Wigan physio? He stays 2 or 3 doors down for me. And so I look out my window, I see him in my driveway on the phone. And I'm thinking, what's doing in my driveway? So I look at him, and he's on the phone, and he looks like a little bit like he's heard bad news here. And so I start to get worried. I'm thinking, Jesus, I don't want to shout on him because I know it's an important call, whatever's happening. I don't know if maybe he's, I'm thinking someone passed away, or someone I'm having these, Jesus Christ. I remember going, says a bit against privacy, so I went and said to my missus, I said, "Props on my phone there, it looks a bit down, like he said some bad news or whatever," and just literally see it on was it, I don't know if I looked on my phone then and one of the boys had wrote a message in the chat or whatever, but I've literally looked on Sky Sports News and it says across the bottom that we're going to enter administration, and so I went out onto the balcony bit and Proc's there and he's got off the phone and he's like, "Have you seen the news?" I'm like, "I've literally just seen it there," and he says, "Yeah, that was," I think he was on the phone to Liam Richardson or whatever, broke the news to him and said the club's entering administration, and that was it. That was when I found out, and then it was just like, Jesus, what does this mean? What happened to here? And just all unfolded for there.
Was you as shocked as everyone else to find out the news?
Yeah, so shocked. There was not one whisper of the club being, for the players anyway, I don't know about the staff and other people, there was not one whisper of there ever been a problem. Like, not one problem financially, nothing. None of the players knew. It was a complete shock to the players. And as I say, if you're going for that night at Stoke where you literally can't feel any better, the lads are just top of the world in terms of confidence and feeling like a top side, to then there was nothing. I think at other clubs when it's happened, it's like there's been murmurs for months where players are trying to take wage cuts or deferrals and try to help in some way, or the club's cutting funds here and there. But at Wigan, for my understanding anyway, it was just both. Out of nowhere for us players anyway, so it was just a massive shock.
Did what happened at Wigan bring back any memories of what happened at Glasgow Rangers when you was there? I know you was only one of the younger players at the time, but for those who don't know, the club had to start back in the third division and obviously make their way back up. They're doing well now at the moment, of course.
Yeah,
which I'm glad to see.
They're doing really well. But to be honest, no, because I was really young and back then I was just literally turn up and train and play football and wanted to try and get into the first team or whatever. And when it happened, I remember it had been happening for a while and money trouble in the press, and my mates used to ask me about it, and just like, it's just the same, going and training, and it is what it is. And I think it was more the first team. I think they were all taking big cuts and they were dealing with it and the stress, and I didn't know. I was just young. I remember we took a wage cut or whatever it was. I think it was like 25%. The young boys took, first team took 50%. But it was just like, it is what it is. You don't think about the money even back then when you're that young. I think I was 17, 18, still living with my mum. Yeah, take the money. That didn't bother me. I was just getting into training and that was it. And then obviously the club went into the third division, and then boys were just saying, well, it's a good chance for us. It's a good chance for you being young to play. And so it was kind of like, as weird as it sounds, never turned out in the end, because I would always love to try and break into Rangers when they were in the SPL, because I was never far away from it, just like maturing a little bit and trying. But it was obviously an opportunity for me to play for Rangers, play at Ibrox every week, and so it was almost a bit of a positive experience for me. Like, I'm not old enough to realise about people losing their jobs, and I'm not thinking all that side of it. So in terms of just for me as a young lad trying to get an opportunity to play for the team I've always supported, it was kind of like a positive, whereas at Wigan it was also the complete opposite.
It was a really tough circumstance, and in that final 6 games of the season, Latics needed to pull off their greatest ever escape to stay up because of the mandatory 12-point deduction. How do you remember the final run of the season, and did you feel like you formed a special bond with the teammates you had at Wigan? Because I know a phrase that was often thrown around was "band of brothers."
Yeah, no, honestly, it was like, as I say, confidence-wise and as a team, we were really, really gelling and we were really, really close. We all felt good. And honestly, when we got the points deduction, there was no one in that changing room that thought we won't still stay up. It was genuinely, the lads spoke and it was, let's just go and win that amount of games and stay up now. 100% we'll do it. There's no way we won't. Look at these fixtures, look at that, look at these games. It's done. We'll stay up. It is what it is. We'll keep the club in the league, and that's it. We'll then deal with all the other stuff. And I think Sammy Morsey and Jamie Jones and Gary Roberts and Pilks and other senior lads, they were unbelievable for us, because I think they dealt with all the stuff like speaking to the chairman about whatever wage cuts or whatever we could do to help the club. They took all that side of it. And for us, it was just like, let's just keep going as we've been going. Focus on the next game. Let's not take in all the other outside noise and let's achieve something. Like, how good would it have been to say we got a 12-point that we were basically down at Christmas, January time, we were struggling. We then got a 12-point, we then went on an unbelievable run, got a 12-point deduction, but were relegated again basically after being safe, and then come out of it and still stay in the league. It was like, how good would that be? That's when you see what you're made of. And for me, that was just another moment. Right, let's do it. Brilliant. I think we're probably favourites to go down now, but let's prove them wrong. Let's show them that we could stay up. And I think everybody else was the same. I spoke to Sammy a lot through it on the phone, and we became quite close through it all. And our mindset was just, is what it is. The 12 points has happened. Let's win the games and stay in the league. And I know that's the way everyone else was. So when we fell just short, that was really, really sore. But there was never at one moment where we thought, oh, I can't believe this, we're getting relegated. We always thought we were staying up.
How did it feel? Obviously, we know what happened in the following summer. How did it feel to watch the Banner brothers and that Latics squad get torn apart? Because as fans, it was very tough to see so many good players depart onto different clubs. I believe 16 first-team players left in the end.
Yeah, it was tough, but at the same time, I was so happy. I was so happy for them. We could sit and say what could have been, and I spoke to loads of lads about it, and even this season and said, imagine we could have kept that team together and we would have done really well. Maybe Jedi would have moved on if we could have kept a hold of the likes of Kiefer Moore and Joe Williams. Like, we would have been a strong side, but you don't like to go into that too much. But just to see, listen, we got relegated. The players I played with, your career's short, and it's as simple as that. And they deserve to go and play at the highest level they possibly can and get the best opportunities. So to see the likes of Jedi going to Fulham, it was sad for it to break up, but it was like amazing for me to see that he was going to move on to a big club and get an opportunity. It was amazing to see Kiefer Moore move on, for young Joffrey to go to Leeds, for Sam to eventually get his move to Middlesbrough, for Nathan to go to a big club like Derby. When all that was happening, I was just so happy that the lads were going to get to go and carry on their career at other good clubs in a really good level where they could keep growing and getting better as players. Because obviously at Wigan, we would all love the fairy tale story. I love Wigan more than anyone, but to stand by the club through when it goes down, but that's just not how football works. Football, we've got really, really short careers, and we got in this game when we were kids as one dream to get to the highest level possible, and it just wasn't right for the lads to stay at Wigan in League One in a club that's got no owner, that's kind of struggling for stability. So to see them all move on was difficult to see the team breaking up, but to see them all moving on and going to good clubs I was happy about.
That's a very respectful answer. And in the summer when everyone was leaving, did you have any offers yourself?
No, I didn't have any offers. No, there was a lot of talks, stuff happening and stuff, but again, I just says, until in football there's always talks, and until anything's actually there, then there's no point really. And late on in the window, there was maybe a couple of opportunities, but it was too late and not enough time for me to think about with my family and if it was the right decision and stuff. So I was happy staying at the club there.
How did it feel to be in that following season, the season we're in now, to be one of the only senior players left at the club?
Yeah, it was good. Honestly, I enjoyed it. It was, again, you don't want to sulk and think too much about the past. Think I should be at Wigan in the Championship with still loads of good players. It was just a different experience. It was a lot of young lads. I enjoyed trying to help the young lads and take on a bit more of a senior role and speak to them about doing their gym work and eating well and working hard and trying to take the opportunity that they've been given. And some of them took it on, and you could see some of them reacting to it, and it would make me proud watching them, how hard they were working to try and take the opportunity, and it was enjoyable that way. There was tough things happening off the pitch, and it was not ideal, but it was never a situation I was going to cry about. It was just like, right, try and stay positive. It was difficult around the place sometimes, but try and stay positive. And as I say, try to help the young lads. And there's a lot of good young boys there. And just seeing them getting chances and being so grateful for the chances. I remember young Kyle Joseph scored his first goal. Was it against Sunderland? And everybody's so buzzing for him. He's such a good young lad that it literally just wants to get better. He's improving all the time. He's practicing. He's such a nice kid. And then straight after the game, Liam's come in and he's gave his like post-match talk. And straight after, he's pulled his phone out, and I think it's his mum and dad. He's on the phone. He's speaking straight away, and he's so buzzing on the phone. And that stuff was just amazing to see these young people like getting the opportunity to play for Wigan, which is a great club, by the way. Still, regardless of what happened, it's still a great club. These boys are fortunate enough to be getting an opportunity to play for Wigan, albeit in League One, which is still a good league you've got to respect. And to see young lads like that taking their chance and then being so happy and so proud on the phone to their mum and dad and whoever, that part of it was good for me to see. It was never where I wanted to be at 28, to be honest, to be in League One and take a step back, because I felt like I had done enough the year before or the previous year to stay at that championship level. But I made the most of it and I enjoyed it.
At what moment did you realise that you needed to leave Wigan Athletic and obviously return to the Championship? Because I know I've spoken to a lot of players in the past on this podcast, and I know there's a feeling amongst the squad that Wigan were not relegated. It's echoing there, sorry about that. Wigan were relegated, but not in an official way on the field. They were relegated because of off-field events. Every player deserved the right to be called a Championship player.
Yeah. There was obviously that feeling. Like I never ever felt like I've never been relegated. I don't think ever. No, I've never been relegated. But I imagine you have a terrible summer that summer because you feel like you've failed. You've let your teammates down, your manager down. You've let the club down. It never went for you. You feel like a bit of a failure, I would imagine. Obviously, players pick themselves back up and do brilliant, and players can have brilliant seasons, but their team still get relegated. But the feeling would be bitter disappointment. At the end of that season, we get relegated, and we've never been so gutted for a little bit, but it didn't last long because I was proud. I was proud of my teammates. I was proud of how we done. I was proud that when everyone wrote us off, when we get the 12-point deduction, how much we kept fighting until the very last game against Fulham. We were fighting to stay in the league. I was proud of everything we had done and achieved. So I wasn't. I had a good summer. I wasn't devastated. That I was gutted for the club. I was devastated and heartbroken for the people that had lost their jobs, and it's hard to actually think about, because if you think about it too much, it makes you upset. And so, but in terms of as players, I was proud of everything that we had done. So that was, I think that would be a lot easier than if it was on the field and we got relegated. I think that would be a lot tougher. But in terms of when I kind of knew it was time to move on was, so at Portsmouth, same thing, signed a 3-year contract, got into the last year, felt I'd done really well, albeit in League Two, and I wanted to play at a high level. I wanted to play in the Championship, and that was my goal. I spoke to Kenny Jackett, and the club offered me a new contract, and I said, I don't want to sign it. I want to go and try and play in the Championship. I want to get to the highest level possible. And I loved my time at Portsmouth, so that was hard for me to do. But that was just, as I say, I wanted to get to the highest level, and so he was fine with it. But when you're running down your contract and in the last 6 months, it's just you don't play as well. You're not as settled. There's that unknown of where you're going to be. There's the worry of injury. There's the worry of a lot of stuff. And so I knew I didn't want to do that again. I knew my form wouldn't have been as good for Wigan when I played. I knew I wouldn't have been in as good a mindset as I could have been to give absolutely 100% everything. So my plan kind of was to give 100% and all I've got to January, and then get an agreement with the club where I could move on, because I didn't want to run out my deal to nothing, because I knew I never ever wanted to play a game for Wigan given 80% or 90%. I had to be all in or nothing. And I felt that last 6 months, it would have been difficult for me to be all in with the risk of injury, the club being unstable and not being able to offer me a new deal. I just felt it was the right time to move on. So I knew kind of before Christmas anyway that was my plan.
Did you feel any tinge of sadness with leaving young players behind after making the decision?
No, not really. I gave everything when I was there, but I just knew it was my time for my career, and I'm still 28 to kind of move on and try and get to the level where I want to be or do better. So I had sadness that I was leaving the club and the way it'd gone, and in terms of like the people at the club who I loved, the bloody physios, the kit men, the people at the stadium, everyone, and I loved living there where I was living, and there was all that like, right, it's coming to an end. But again, just in football, you've just got to be ruthless and say, this is my plan. Like when I moved away from Glasgow and my family when I was a kid, this was just another thing that I was going to do. I was going to deal with it, move on, and then try and kick on and do better. And that was just my mindset at the time. I wish the lads all the best. They wished me the best. All the young lads, I still, if I see them do well now, I'll give them a message, and I'll always obviously check in Wigan. And it's amazing to see the young lads doing well, and I'll always do that. But yeah, just for me in my career, it was the right time to kind of move on.
I think that's a very respectable answer. And did it almost come out of frustration in many ways that this season you have struggled with a couple of injuries and probably couldn't have contributed as much as you'd like to between summer and Christmas?
Yeah, that was difficult for me because my full career I've had injuries here and there, but I've never been one for like niggly injuries and getting little injuries, and that's where I felt as well that, and I'm never one for look, we all get stressed and we all get loads of things in our head and that, but I've never been one for letting loads of things get on top of me, but just felt like one thing after the other, little niggle after little niggle, and then I was big on like, maybe it's all connected, maybe it's everything that's been happening as well. My body's just breaking down on me mentally. I'm maybe not right, and it's just my body just kept getting little niggles. It was strange. Like I hurt my right groin, and then I get back, and in my first training session, I'm just randomly running and stopping my left hip flexor. I get like a pinch in that, and I like feel that's hurting, and I'm struggling to lift my leg, and I'm thinking, what's going on here? It's strange. And then I was just so eager to get back to play because I never ever wanted anyone to think, oh, he's just not playing now. He just thinks he's better and he's not playing. And I hated that. So I was like, I wanted to get back and help the young lads. I wanted to get back and help Liam, who was the manager at the time, who had done so well for me. So my rehab, I was almost not rushing, but I was like just getting through. And then if you came back from an injury, you would usually do a week on the grass and a week's training to get your kind of fitness base up. But I was just coming back, training on a Friday and get straight into a game on a Saturday to try and help the team because I was one of the senior players. So I was never right in the place that I should have been to play, but it was just something I felt like I had to do to help the team, to help Liam, to help the young lads. And yeah, it was disappointing I couldn't have been at my best when I played, but I know the games I played, I gave absolutely everything. So.
You mentioned the mental side there. How do you feel like your mental health was affected during the couple of months we're going in administration? I mean, they're still in administration now, but I imagine it would have been really tough for someone who is, you're not only a football there, but people sometimes forget that football's also a livelihood.
Yeah, no, it was just a difficult time when it was difficult for the world, and times are difficult for the world now. So I think what happened to us, for me personally, I can only speak for me, but I honestly didn't get down about it once. I honestly didn't. I had the challenge ahead of us that I believed where we could still stay in the league. The only stuff that really, really hurt me and I really felt gutted for was like the people that lost their jobs. To see, I'm close with Julie Lavin, who worked at the stadium, who'd been at the club for 15, 20 years, and she's a massive Wigan fan. And to speak to her on the phone and hear her upset, and just that stuff broke me. That stuff broke me, and that stuff was tough. And it was almost well like, right, Jesus Christ, I can't immerse myself in this stuff. I wanted to phone all the staff. I know the manager was absolutely brilliant, and he phoned all the staff and he took it upon himself to be there for them and help them, and that was absolutely amazing. It just shows the kind of man he is. But I felt like I wanted to do more. I wanted to try and do more and help the people that lost their jobs. But then I felt if I immersed myself into that, I would have lost part of the goal of trying to keep the club in the league. And that was the biggest goal for us. And so then I never ever sat back and honestly felt sorry for what had happened to me personally or the players personally. It was just about, let's go and achieve keeping the club in the league, and that was the whole focus then. I think it was when the season finished, that was when it became difficult. It was obviously coronavirus, it was lockdown, it was a difficult time. Personally, we'd just been relegated into League One, and just all that stuff mounted up. Was like, it wasn't a great time. But again, when times get tough, I feel that's just when you got to kind of try and look after yourself a bit more and do stuff that to keep on top of it. And just like, it was difficult for everyone. It was difficult for me and my family, but we were just doing what we could, going nice walks, getting outdoors, try to eat well, try to look after ourselves, try to have laughs when we could. Yeah, it was difficult for everyone. It was a tough time.
It was a really tough period, and I've got to say, you've got to be really proud of not only the side's achievements, but your own personal achievements. And I think one thing that sticks out to me is at Christmas, you and your partner did a really amazing gesture by buying Christmas presents for some young children who are currently poorly. What kind of inspires you to do such great community work like this? And I remember as well is when you was announced to be leaving by the club, you also offered to replace any shirts with Naismith 7 on. So I think that kind of just shows what kind of human being you are. If that makes sense. What a great person you are away from the field.
Yeah, no, I appreciate that. It's something that I've always done, to be honest. Not always, but the past my kind of adult life is try to give back at Christmas. It's just something I've done. It's something I'll bring my kids up doing. That if you're in a position to, I believe you should, even if it's not a lot, but just where you can help. And yeah, it's just something that I've done. I never ever wanted it to come out or asked for it to come out or any publicity on it, but somehow it came out. But I've done it the past few years now. I've done it down at Portsmouth as well, and it's just the way I want to be. It's the way I feel it's the greatest gift given. So not only do other people get something from it for like underprivileged kids who've maybe not got a lot, and it's not about, for me, it's not about the gifts. It's not about what we give them. I remember just recently when we were out shopping and me and my missus were getting stuff for the kids, and she was saying, what if they don't like this, what if they don't like that? And for me, it's not about that. For me, it's about the feeling of them opening them presents. They might look and go, they'll be young at the minute, the kids were young, so they might go, oh, that's a rubbish present, I don't want that. You want them to get use out of it, but it will maybe be like when they're 23 or when they're 25 or when they're 30 and they sit back and they've got kids and they've got families and they say, wait a minute, someone done that nice gesture for me, and then they feel like there's people out there who are good or nice people who give back, that they might then want to do the same. So it's not about the gifts, but also giving. Just, I don't know, I think it's the most powerful thing you can do, and it makes me feel good. That's the way my kids will be brought up, and also it's a lesson for them that every Christmas they can see that we are very grateful to do what I do and the position that I'm in, to have a loving home and all that stuff that we can give to our kids, me and my missus. So for them, it's just a massive lesson as well, that be grateful for what you've got, and there is people out there less fortunate, but if you can help them, always do it.
I think that's a brilliant lesson to teach your children, and I think as well it'll inspire a couple of people who might be watching or listening to this podcast as well. And before you joined Luton, there was speculation that you was close to a move abroad to Cyprus. Was there any truth about this?
Yeah, there was. It was an option. It was a place that I could go. Yeah, but sat and spoke about it with my family, and then it wasn't the right move for me at the time in terms of getting where I want to be. I believe the Championship's up there in the top leagues in the world, and it's a really tough league, and it's a league where if I stay in, I can certainly get a lot better at football and keep growing and prolong my career. And who knows, people say it's maybe delusional, but I'll never kind of give up on my dream of getting to the Premier League, and I just believe this is the best path where I'm at now in the Championship, and first of all try to get into the Luton team, which is an unbelievable team, then try to do well for Luton. And yeah, just I think at the time Luton wasn't there fully at that moment, so it was something that I sat and thought about. But yeah, it was obviously a decision that I never made in the end, and I'm very happy and thankful that I never made the decision, and I'm at a place now where I'm meant to be in Luton, and it's an amazing club.
I know you'll be wanting to focus on settling down at Luton Town, but there's one event coming up in the summer, which I'm sure you'll have your eyes on as a proud Scotsman who have just seen his side qualify for a major tournament for the first time in 23 years, I believe. Have you got any personal ambitions to possibly sneak into the Scotland squad, maybe?
For now, listen, I would love to. It would be one of the proudest things in my career, one of the biggest things I can achieve. I know it's what would make my family most proud, probably seeing me play for Scotland. So it is something really big that I would love to do. But I think there was a stage at Wigan when I was playing centre half and I was playing week in, week out, where slight whispers started to hammer. Naismith should get a call. Maybe that was mostly for people in the club, by the way, at Wigan, and it was something that I started to think about more and think, is this reachable here and intangible? But not now. I think when I was playing centre half, there's amazing players in the Scotland squad. Through the full squad, the centre halves are amazing as well. But I felt that was a position that you could maybe challenge for. In terms of the left backs, we've got Andy Robertson and Kieran Tierney, who are ridiculously good. It's like, I'm not going to get in ahead of the lads. There's unbelievable attacking players. There's just strength quality of the pitch. So I think at centre half, I could have maybe, I don't know, it was something at the time that seemed a little bit, well, maybe I could have pushed for, but no, it's not what I think about now. What I think about now is being the best for Luton. Can I help the squad if I'm not playing? Can I contribute some way in training and getting better, and then help the team on the Saturday? But ultimately, can I get in the team? Can I play week in, week out for Luton in whatever position that may be in, and keep getting better as a player and obviously helping Luton? That's like my main goal now. If all that stuff happens, and like with any goals, you should keep upping them and evolving them. If I do get in the Luton side, if I do become a mainstay in the Luton team, if I'm bringing a lot to the team, will I then maybe start thinking about Scotland or whatever? Maybe, but not at the moment.
I think that's a very honest answer. And I've got two final questions now. And I'd like to say you've been tremendous in this podcast. You've been so honest. And I'm sure the fans will be loving to hear from you and obviously hearing some of your great stories. And the first question I always like to ask all guests who play football in the professional game: can you name a five-a-side team of the best players you've played with in your career so far?
Right then. So, does one of them need to be a goalkeeper?
It's up to you. Do you fancy playing in goal yourself? I know you've done it before at Portsmouth.
I'll go. No, I'm not going to go out. I was going to say Alan McGregor. I've trained with him a lot, and he's just ridiculous. The boys used to laugh at how many saves he would pull off in training, but I can't say him because I've not played in a professional game with him. I'll go David Marshall in goal. I'm going to go Reece James and Cedric Kipre. Probably naming half the Wigan team here. Let me try and think about other players. Marsh, Reece James, Cedric. I'm going to go for a lad that I've played with him for 4 weeks at Luton, but like he's going to be special. He's got that feel about him that when I initially started training with Reece James, like, oh, he's a little bit different. Top young player. He's on loan for Leicester. Kieran Dewsbury Hall, his name is. So there's a player I've gave you a look at for him. I think he's going to be good, so we'll put him in there. And then what have we got? One more?
Yeah, you've got one more. And that young lad you mentioned for Luton is a top draw youngster.
Have you seen him? Yeah, no, he's going to be a top player. I've been so impressed with him the month that I've been here. And up front, I'm going to go for my mate, Connor Chaplin.
I predicted that before the episode. I thought you'd go for Connor. Teammate at Portsmouth, and I think he's doing well at Barnes at the moment.
Yeah, he's unbelievable, but put him in front of goal and he will make any finish look simple. He can score for anywhere. And he's a great guy, but unbelievable player.
I remember his goal at Wigan. I think he was playing for Portsmouth that day in League One. Shea Dunkley got a straight red for a quite a good hook on Pittman.
Yeah, off the park it happened. And then Connor came on as a sub and he scored an unbelievable header. But yeah, anywhere in the box, head, knee, hit it in with any part of his body, he's just a proper goal scorer. Good player as well, link up, but proper goal scorer.
He's a great player, and that's a great five-side to him. And to end the podcast, another question I'd like to ask all guests. What would be your departing message to the Wigan Athletic supporters to end this fantastic podcast episode?
Just thank you for the support when I was there. Thanks for obviously all the kind messages when I left. That was another thing that I'm proud of, that every single Wigan supporter understood why I was leaving. They understood that it was my time to move on. There was never one negative message I received. I read every single message that I received, and every one of them were unbelievable to read and look at. And I'm grateful for everyone that messaged me. I'm grateful for the support when I was there. I'm grateful for the support that they gave my teammates when I was there. And just good luck. Just get behind the team. And I know it's a difficult time, but as I say, in tough times, that's when you find out who the people are, who the good people are, who the real fans are, and I know Wigan, I've got a lot of top fans, and I've seen it myself. When times got tough, the fans came together. They came together. They helped the club financially. They came together with support. They're supporting the young lads now. I just keep doing more of the same. Get behind the club. Get behind every player that's on the pitch. And just best of luck. Thanks for supporting me when I was there.
If you enjoyed this episode of the Full-Time Whittle Podcast with former Portsmouth, Wigan Athletic and now Luton Town winger Kal Naismith, please like this video and subscribe to my YouTube channel. Thanks for watching. It's always much appreciated.